Last night, Doja Cat finally responded to backlash concerning her alleged involvement on online racist forums, interacting with white supremacists, and being hypersexual for them. The apology is as follows. I want to address what's been happening on Twitter. I've used public chat rooms to socialize since I was a child. I shouldn't have been on some of those chat room sites, but I personally have never been involved in any racist conversations. I'm sorry to everyone that I offended. I'm a black woman. Half of my family is black from South Africa, and I'm very proud of where I come from. As for the old song that's resurfaced, it was in no way tied to anything outside my own personal experience. It was written in response to people who often use that term to hurt me. I made an attempt to flip the meaning, but recognized that it was a bad decision to use the term in my music. I understand my influence and my impact, and I'm taking all of this very seriously. I love you all, and I'm sorry for upsetting or hurting any of you. That's not my character, and I'm determined to show that to everybody moving forward. Thank you. At face value, anyone can tell that this apology absolutely sucks. It reads like an obvious copy-paste PR apology and is ingenuine at best. And the sudden leaking of the entire Like That video does not help. We, as either stans, casual fans, or just people who really like the song Juicy, know what Doja's voice sounds like, how she talks, and how she communicates. Anyone with a brain can see that either Doja didn't write this or she just doesn't genuinely care about the backlash, especially since she waited about 2 days to even respond to anything. But let's look at the entire situation. Reading that poorly written and structured apology made me think, what specifically does Doja apologize for? Considering it's proven that Doja had been using TinyChat less than a week ago that this controversy began, is there any true way for an apology to feel genuine, or will it always be met with a critique that she's only sorry she got caught? To read into this, let's look at the cards stacked against Doja. Over the week, videos were released of Doja Cat hanging out in TinyChat video rooms. TinyChat is a social media site where you can chat with strangers, friends, and groups. In internet history, TinyChat is notoriously known for its NSFW use and plethora of racist white people. In the videos that have been proven to be recent, Doja is seen being very, very sexual, and offensive phrases from others can be heard in the background. Accusations have since come out on other forums from men who claim that Doja routinely strips her guys, specifically white men, on Skype and other forums, that she lets them call her the N-word, as well as the odd claim that she's shoved a cucumber up her hoo-ha. Her song Didn't Do Nothing made the rounds through Twitter as well. The song's title is a phrase that means, according to Urban Dictionary, a pejorative term used to mock blacks that commit crimes and the excuses that made for them. Many people took this song and decided that it openly mocks the death of Sandra Bland. With this, people have taken the generalizations around TinyChat and Doja's sexual behavior and the song to create the narrative that Doja was hanging out with white supremacist groups on TinyChat, stripping for them in a feat to show that she hates black people and herself. But to me, people seem to have jumped from point A to point F without any letters in between. I want to make it clear that I could not care less whether Doja's career ends today, tomorrow, next week, or the year hereafter. This video is not some grand attempt to put Doja's career back together. Cancel culture does not work. It is not real, and whether this situation is smaller or bigger than what we've made it, we all know Doja's career isn't going anywhere. Looking at everything, there's nothing pointing to Doja being a self-hating black woman from these chats. There's nothing saying she regularly hangs out with white supremacists, and there's nothing to uphold the idea that her song specifically mocks the death of Sandra Bland. The idea that Doja hung out with white supremacists on TinyChat is only held up by the idea that TinyChat has a lot of white supremacists on it. At first, that assumption makes sense until you realize that there are massive groups of white supremacists on every social media site. The most we've seen are pictures and videos of proof that Doja probably strips online for strangers, which is a completely separate topic than what has been placed at the front lines of this controversy. There's been nothing revealing the past of the guys she was with in the chat room that night that points to white supremacy. However, it's important to note that this does not absolve Doja from the other offensive phrases we hear in the chat and the offensive phrases we know she has said in the past. But the jump from that to white supremacy is seemingly unachievable when you look at the evidence. Many have offered the idea that Doja must be hanging out with white supremacists to even know the phrase "didn't do nothing." When the song began to circulate around Twitter, majority of black people had no idea what it meant, and I can admit that I didn't either. But again, it's a massive jump from knowing a phrase to white supremacy. Doja has admitted in an interview that she often used online chats and forums to troll a lot growing up. If you know anything about forums, you know that a lot of white people are racist on forums. It's not insane to think that people had used that phrase against her, but in the same vein, I guess it's not insane to assume that she had also used that phrase against others. In her apology statement, she claimed she created the song as a way to reclaim the term since it had so often been used against her. And looking at the lyrics, there's nothing to be seen to claim that it was against the black community in any way unless I'm missing something. If anything, the lyrics only support her claim. With a lack of a lyrical breakdown from Doja, the lyrics have been open to interpretation by outsiders. We don't know if what Doja claims the songs to be about is true. We don't know if she truthfully wrote the song as a way to reclaim the term, or if she's just saying that to save face. The only thing we know from this is that Doja had clear interaction with racism online, whether that be as the oppressed or the oppressor is unknown. With all of this against Doja and the enormous wait time before Doja made a statement, you have to ask, did we blow this out of proportion? At the time of this video, we have absolute zero proof of Doja interacting with white supremacy groups, yet that's the narrative we've seen dominating this controversy. Whether Doja has a voyeuristic fetish for stripping online is another conversation people are clearly not concerned with having right now. But there's no merit to the white supremacy accusations, only baseless claims from strangers on the internet. But let's assume all of these accusations are correct. Doja is a self-hating biracial woman who hangs out with white supremacists for funsies. How did Doja think she could get away with this at this point in her career? The days before this all went down, Doja had just achieved her first #1 on the Billboard charts with Nicki Minaj, had just released a collab with The Weeknd, and had serious support from her fans following her mention in Lana Del Rey's dumb internet rant. Doja's a superstar now. Anyone can see that. There's no way Doja really thought videos of her on Tiny Chat would never be leaked, especially considering she made no attempts to hide her identity. Is this a deep-rooted psychological problem? Some have said they want Doja to get therapy and that it's not good for all this hate. Others have blamed her childhood, blaming her absent father for her alleged racism and self-hate. It's one thing if these videos were from years ago, but these videos are from a week ago. There's something deeper Doja needs to think about with this. Now, we're here, and what do you take away? Did we blow this out of proportion? Probably. Everything about racism was based on pure assumption and accusations with no base. There's no video of Doja being racist towards black people or even speaking negatively about us. There's no video of her with white supremacists. There's no video of her with a KKK cap on. There's no support for any of these claims. So, does Doja re-apologize? Of course. This whole situation is a disaster. Doja has disconnected herself and her music from so many of her black fans on Twitter. But how does Doja apologize, and what does she apologize for? Listen, I'm not here to write an apology for the girl. If Doja wants to apologize, she's got to do more than a Notes app post. With no support or proof of her being racist or participating with racists, why would she shoot herself in the foot and apologize for that? Of course, there's the obvious participation of groups of those using other offensive phrases, but I'm not here to talk about that specifically in this video as I've been focusing on the racial accusations. Will Doja recover from this? Yes. There's no way she doesn't. Cancel culture sucks, and if I challenge you to name 5 people who were successfully canceled, you 100% couldn't. Doja will be fine. I'm not here to judge you for whether or not you continue to listen to or support Doja. All I'm saying is to look at the cards on the table and really think about the accusations at hand. That's all.